Hello everybody and welcome to episode 9 of my tutorial series for Dyson Sphere Program. I'm Icon and today we're going to tackle the production of organic crystals. So in between this and the last episode a couple of things have happened. First off, I'm terribly sorry. I made a mistake when I set up my oil refineries. Of course, for X-ray cracking, I put it into the comments in the X-ray cracking episode, but I noticed it by the end of the last one. 2 plasma refining oil refineries go into 1 X-ray cracking refinery. So we have 4 plasma refiners, we need 2 X-ray crackers. That's something I did wrong there. I somehow derped that I needed a second one. That's why this hydrogen belt was never full, by the way. But I fixed that, and while I was busy fixing that, I also completed the solar ring. So we have now a steady power supply which will hover around this rate around all times of the day. I have a couple of gaps here and there in between, so it could be that the capacity will have slight changes, but most of the time this will be stable, and that's the power of the equatorial ring. You can just multi-layer that, so you could just set up a second or even a third layer. Pretty cool stuff if you need more power. We are going to look now into other things. Before I start going into the organic crystal crafting, I wanted to show you where we're headed technology-wise. I have completed the planetary logistics system technology. In between, we are going to research now the technologies that we need to actually build those planetary logistics. A very smart proposition in between was that we are already able to research the veins utilization check, which will give you this one. So you consume less ore and you get more mining speed. I'm not entirely sure if this also applies to oil seeps, but the comment said so. So we're going to research that. But first, I want to have all the technologies to get the drones going. So we are researching all manner of funky stuff in the background. I'll be explaining that when the time is coming. Now let's finally get into the organic crystal recipe. I have already played around that a little bit in the last part of the episode before, but today we're going to go deeper into that. So 1 unit of organic crystal will need 2 units of plastic, refined oil, and water. So refined oil and water are pretty easy to come by. Plastic is a little bit harder. So we're going to want 1 organic crystal per second, because we have already discovered that when we are checking out the technologies once more. Where was it? For the production of the high strength crystals, to produce 1 high-strength crystal per second, we're going to need exactly a production of 1 organic crystal per second, and I want that quite much, because when I was looking down this road, I noticed that the production of 1 of these crystals per second is satisfying the production of 1 structure matrix per second. That's what we want to be. So, plastic. It's going to be a lot about plastic today. So we're going to need, for this thing, in a total, we're going to need 4 units of plastic per second to satisfy that. No, sorry, two units of plastic per second. Forget about the 4. 2 units of plastic per second. Because every 6 seconds, we make 1 organic crystal. That means we need to have 6 machines to produce exactly 1 crystal per second. And therefore the recipe is quite easy. We need 2 plastic per sec. Now, this is the little bit more complicated part. And by the way, we're planning our first really larger structure in the game so far. This is the largest thing that we have planned to build so far. So if it feels a bit complicated, that's because our production chains are getting more and more lengthy. So, plastic. We put in 2 units of oil per second to receive 1 unit of plastic per second. Nice. So that'll mean we're going to need 4 units of oil per second and 2 units of energetic graphite per second in the first place. So that's 4 oil per second just for the plastic, and a 5th unit of oil for the organic crystals. So that means we're going to need quite a lot of oil, eh? So there's the deal. So let's head on over to one of our refineries. We now know that oil-wise, we're producing half a unit of oil per refinery. For 5 units of oil, we're going to need quite a lot of refinery. So all in all, we're going to need 10 refineries. It's quite a lot, so we have to look for some place where we can get that done. So we're pressing M, and now I'm looking for a place where we have enough oil on one spot. Now this is looking well. Ha! We have everything we want there. Oil, 3 times, and coal, which we're going to need for the rest of the recipes. So we're going to head on there. I have also put up, finally, factories for the stuff we need. So we're going to pick up oil extractors, oil refineries, and chemical plants. All the stuff we need, pronto. I like that. So we're also going to pack up a couple of splitters because I'm running low on these, and a handful of wood. I think we got everything we need except for that. So that, well, maybe we want a bit of a storage tank, but that's nothing we can produce here locally. I don't have that yet in a on an assembler. There's always a couple of outliers that just get away. We're going to build the super mall later. So, meanwhile, I'm going to fetch up one water pump. Let's see. Oh, I'm lacking stone for that, because a water pump is going to be necessary later. So let's just grab a couple of stone bricks to make it happen. There we go. So the water pump is going to be pre-produced for us. And now let's head on over to the place where we found all that oil. We're going to get ourselves power. That's another really cool thing about the equatorial power supply. As you see here, we're just able to get ourselves power wherever we want. Oh, I forgot to grab foundation plates. I have to change that. So foundation plates are just that important. Let's head on over there. By now, this place is supplying me with most things, and oh gosh, whoopsie. So never mind that. I think people who are used to factory games know the pain. So I've just reloaded my energetic graphite there. Just wanted to make sure that I have enough foundation plate for this place, because we're going to use the environment there. By the way, in case you're not familiar with that, so putting new foundation into the ground like that, it's not only costing me the foundation plates, but also soil pile. The soil pile is kind of an odd thing. The soil pile is height in a pocket, so to say. So basically, whenever you build something on a part of the planet which is noticeable higher in height, then you gain soil pile. And whenever you rise the terrain, like I do here, you invest soil pile. Most of the time you gain soil pile passively by just building stuff that levels the ground and fills your pockets with soil pile. Just in case you're wondering what the heck that stuff is supposed to be. And here I just wanted to make sure that we have plenty of space to work with. So we're going to set on up our power supply now. With the equatorial thingy, we are never really far away from power. Okay, so let's go. Let's see, we got here these 2 oil seeps, and they are pretty perfect. We have already calculated that we're going to need a total of 10 refined oil per second. That means we need 10 refineries, and these 2 oil seeps can support 5 refineries for quite a long time. As soon as these guys will run out, we can back up the production with this oil seep. So all in all, I feel really, really good about that. The coil vane I will utilize into this direction. So let's get started. When you're setting up larger structures like these, it's really all about thinking ahead and considering where everything is going to happen. For the refineries, I'm going to orient myself topwards, mostly because these guys are living there, and also because it's going to be easy to empty this stuff all to the left side. Okay, let's get started. So far, we're not going to do anything new. It's just a new scope of, a new dimension of things. So let's set up the oil refinery so we can multiply it. Well, let's just hope the planet doesn't troll us. Okay, so set up the recipe. It's also very important. And now let's set up the sorters. Make sure that, well, we're going to put this like that. Sorters are configured, very important. And now we're just going to set up 5 of these bad boys. And yeah, done. So you see, the longer your run goes, the less time you will spend for a lot of things, given the fact that you have prepared yourself well. Here's another thing now, though. We are starting to allocate another byproduct here. While during the science production, we were starting to stockpile oil and didn't know what to do with it, here we are starting to stockpile hydrogen. So I just want to carefully point your attention towards the fact that you also could use the refined oil from your science production to turn it into plastic. I personally like independent factories for every product, so I don't like it when the production flows of my science facility intermix with my organic crystal production, but it's up to you. You can do you can do this however you want to. That's the beauty of sandbox games. So here you see there's a slight curve here. See that? I'd strongly suggest you to build after that curve. Don't do this to yourself. These curves really make your whole cluster go nuts. So let's set this guy up here. I'll take this one as a measure. So we're definitely going to be able to put that down here. And if you'd be starting here, the belts would go nuts at some point. Here. You see there's this little point there. You can try it for yourself. Sometimes it actually works out without bothering you. Sometimes it just makes everything go bad. So here I'm just copying the guy again to copy the sorters because I don't want to install them a second time manually. Okay, we didn't make that long enough. Alright. And then power it up. So for this facility, we're going to do the same thing as with the other facility. We're going to stockpile that hydrogen and save it up for some time in the future. I know that there are projects later down the road which require stupendous amounts of hydrogen, and oh god, did it happen here? Yeah. So here it did already happen, so we have a slight case of trolling here. So here we have to work out differently. So here the curvature of the planet is doing exactly what I said it could do. So to fix this, we need to work a little bit creative here. So I'm going around the corner here. This guy is going to connect there onto this belt. And this guy is going to run this way. I think this illustrates how nutty curves on the planet can be. Oh, there we go. We fixed it, and that just happens when the planet grows more narrow towards the poles. A lot of people like to build their entire industrial facilities, therefore, if possible, in the middle regions of the planet, because that's where the planet is nice and flat. The closer you go towards the poles, the more strange the things will be. It also helps if you don't build into this angle, but more into that angle. You get the idea. But yeah, I think it's great that that this happens. So illustrates the problematic a bit. Okay, so we're going to let our oil flow down this road, and the hydrogen is going to go. Let's see. To lead the hydrogen this way. There we go. Let's wire them up on a splitter. As you can see here, we're needing more time to organize the output than actually to set up the facility, but that's something I really do like about this game. So, merely setting up a little bit of a spot there, which is not going to interfere with my future projects. Or, wait, just noticed that the crude oil seep is into that direction, so I'm actually going to put the belt rather there, and we're going to set on up these guys, and we're gonna store hydrogen here, and we're gonna decide later what to do with that. So we're either going to refine it and turn it into even more hydrogen. In my humble opinion, that's the least thing we should do, because there's not much good reason to not X-ray crack that stuff, because it's just increasing the output, all in all. It does require a really small amount of oil, but that's pretty much all. Okay, but here, speaking about oil, we're now going to connect these guys. Is there nobody? Here, okay. Just wondering. And now, well, we're able to produce for quite some time before this thing here is running full. Let's hope that'll take a while. And by the way, if you end up with little stockpiles of oil in your inventory, refined oil can also be used as a fuel. I mean, it ain't the best, but it has some fuel chamber generation bonus, and it's a better way that, to get rid of it rather than to destroy it, right? Okay, so before I build anything further, let's calculate again. We have now to check out how much energetic graphite we're actually going to need. So we need twice the amount because we want 2 plastic per second, so we need 2 energetic graphite per second. That means we're going to need 4 units of coal per second. That's 8 nodes. So we're going to put up 2 miners. Sorry for making weird noises while calculating. That's my brain working. And we're going to try to make these guys as profitable as possible, of course. Ooh, that's a very eccentric patch to see here. It's pretty hard to find a spot that's actually really good. So let's make 1 6 here. And 1 5 there. Why not? We don't need super efficient here. So, oil is that way. We're going to go that way then. Unify these guys on a splitter yet again. The usual. And pray to God that the planetary curvature doesn't spoil our plans. Set these up. Okay, we got the necessary production. Now we just need to check out how many furnaces these are. So 2 per second, one furnace produces half, so we need 4. Got it. And so the longer you play this, the more you'll grow accustomed to these things. So this should suffice. And it'll be less and less of a chore to think about these things for you as you grow more and more familiar with the recipes, and the ratios are less and less weirding you out. It's a pretty cool thing. But I always feel like calculating it out for the first time is always the most tiring part of the setup. Okay, so we now have that stuff. Alright, let's keep going. We will now set this, turn this stuff into plastic. We're going to need 6 chemical plants. We haven't used these yet. That's their first time. So we're going to set these guys up. Probably just right here, huh? How about that? 1. And then we're going to let them run downwards, or do we? Where's that nasty curve? That nasty curve is happening there. Okay. I think this should work. Okay, so we're going to take our oil and let it run downstairs here. And with the coal, we're going to go exactly the other way around. So let's see. Okay, here we go. I love it that you can plan these long-term thingies there, or these long-winded roads that make them exactly parallel without breaking a sweat. Games like Factorial and the like have a harder time with these. Good. I don't really want to draw comparisons here. Cool games are cool games. They don't need to be compared. So here we're going to end here. And as you see there, we're going to need a little bit of foundation plate there again. And now we're going to let this belt here roll down the road there. This is going to be where the plastic will live. So we are setting this up here, and you can already... I bet you already know how it's going now. And check this out. We're actually running out of sorters. I'm pretty sure that we don't have enough on us to get the job done here. Although I gotta admit, I have overshot the... I'm overshooting the usage of tier 2 sorters. I'm just a lazy boy, you know? I know that tier 2 sorters get the job done quite well, so I keep using them all the time. Whereas I feel the Mark 1 sorter is quite prone to not getting the job done. Well, I'll leave that up to you, how you want to do that. I personally think it's smarter to use the tier 1 sorters where they are appropriate. So 2, 4, 5, and that's number 6. So we need to lengthen the oil belt a tad bit. But beyond that, wasn't that well planned? Alright, there we go. So all it lacks is power, and that's merely the plastic. But at least if that's any consolation to you, the plastic was the most complicated part in the whole equation. All the other ingredients for this, for the organic crystals are actually a lot easier to fetch up. So, where do we go next? We have now the plastic. We have, as a matter of fact, the oil we need, because we are merely using 4 oil per second right now of the 5 that we are producing. And therefore, we're going to let the oil belt just run along and take that into the next production. So the only new thing that's coming on up now is the water pump. So as you see there, the water pump is quite simple. Here, it goes on the shore of some place and it produces water. Is there anything else to add? Actually, no. That's the wonderful part. So we're going to let our products pass the horrible curve. And you see there, it's really an issue. It's really, really an issue. It makes things really come along badly. Wonderful. Wonderful explanation. Try to pass these choke points just and build on after them. If necessary, just leave a gap. It's no problem. So let's check that out. Is this thing actually producing enough water for us? 50 per minute. How much water will we need? So 50 per minute is not exactly 1 per second, so no, it's not enough. We're actually going to need a second one of these guys. 50 per minute is 5/6 per minute. Per second, if I have no knot in my brain. Which could happen, because this game has so wacky ratios at times. It really... That's one of the things where I would be super happy if the devs could reconsider. Some of these ratios are just whack. Like this one here, the water pump producing 5/6 units of water. I think that's just weird. Why not just one water pump generating 1 water per second? That would be so intuitive, but maybe they didn't want intuitive. Who knows? So we're not going to produce our organic crystals there, obviously, because that's just uncool. Nah, just kidding. We don't have enough room there, and therefore we're going to take the products over there, and let's slap on more foundation. And you see how much use foundation gets there? It makes the planet so much more accessible. The more foundation you got, the easier things will go. Alright, so we got now. The only thing we have ahead of us are the 6 chemical plants that we need to set up there. So let's see. We're going to set up 1 chemical plant as a measure. So here we go. And now I'm just going to let these... Oh, you know what? We're going to make this like that. Let's make a little bridge there. Why not? And the... Oh, we're running out of belts. So I just decided that I'm going to have all the input on one side and all the output on the other. I like it that way. Looking tidy, looking nice. But let's quickly grab ourselves some belt. So we have now set up the first part of our yellow matrix production. We can't continue without the input of titanium, and therefore this entire episode was a little bit ahead of its time for sure. But we're right now spending our time quite well, because in the background we have all the research for the interplanetary logistics going on, and that's going to be quite important for us, because without the interplanetary logistics we are not going to be able to get the yellow cubes produced. But see, we're still not done with all the technologies. Right now we are researching the antimatter traps, and these are, well, as you see here, costing us quite some cube. And time-wise, that's 30 minutes research time, so 1 cube per second is not much. Trust me when I say it's really, really not much. you'd be actually better off if you want a faster pace to produce 2 cubes per second, but as you might notice by now, this also makes everything a lot larger. And when you are just starting out with a game, I felt like too large facilities might be just overwhelming. And now I forgot the sorters. Well, you get the idea. So the next episode, we're going to set up the pre-production for the interplanetary logistics. So my plan is to set up a very, very small scale production, which will provide me all the stuff that I need to build those interplanetary drones. And if the time allows, we will start setting up the interplanetary transport network in the next episode. I'm not sure if we are going to make it, because there is quite a lot of things that we have to take into account there, and quite a lot of stuff that we need to pre-produce. But the beauty of that will be we are not going to try to produce on a certain ratio. There's not going to be the need to produce one interplanetary transport station per second or anything like that. So therefore, the whole next setup will be a lot less math heavy, but it's still going to be quite a beast, because you need a lot of different materials. My personal favorite method of using the early game titanium that you gather from your first trip was always to use that titanium to set up the interplanetary logistics. So our titanium inventory will be our kickstart to transport more titanium from this planet, from one planet to another. Okay, but oh gosh, I forgot to set up the recipe. No. So there's one thing I wanted to show you. I am not a native speaker, so I don't know how these keys are called. You can copy recipes by here. Copy recipe if you use this key while you're over a building. My keyboard doesn't have these keys. Don't ask me why. It's a longer story, but on my keyboard these aren't available. That's also a reason why I built like I do. You can also just set up these things with blank and then just use those keys I showed you there to copy the recipes. Just wanted to let you guys know that I actually know how this works, but I'm running a US-American keyboard with a German keyboard setting, and therefore these keys are not existent on my keyboard. It's a weird story. I got it as a birthday present, and therefore I love this keyboard, but it has some problems. Anywho, that's just a little bit of an anecdote at the end of this. So here we are producing now 1 organic crystal per second. This will come in handy later down the road. Right now we don't really need it, but it's no big deal to have it all already set up and running. So drop me your comments down below, leave me your thumbs up, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode when we're finally going to reach the next level, because transporting materials between planets, that's where the game starts to feel really awesome. So looking forward to that. See you soon. Bye bye.